All right. I'd like to take a few minutes to welcome everyone. If we could gather up. I know it is, it's exciting to be here in person, and it's hard to stop chit-chatting and saying hi to old friends, so I understand. It was a very, almost a surreal experience to get up at what used to be my normal time and drive towards the office. I spent the last, introduction, I'm Bill Mckinney. I'm the current board chair at PPL. My day job is working at Anthem Health, and I've worked at Anthem Health for about almost 2 years now, and I have yet to be in an office. So my office commute is down the stairs to my basement and then up for lunch, back down, and then up at the end of the day. So it was fun to feel almost like a normal day coming to downtown Minneapolis. Over the next hour, we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna show you the positive impacts that Project for Pride in Living has in our community. It's a long list of achievements, and we've got a lot to get to, and we're gonna actually introduce you to a number of folks that are part of our programs and part of the housing that we own and operate here in the Twin Cities. First, we'd like to acknowledge our place on this land, that are Dakota homelands, which served the Native people for thousands of years before we came to this community. We respectfully recognize that we are on Indigenous land, and we acknowledge the harm caused to the Dakota, the Anishinaabe, and other Indigenous peoples. In fact, we are very close right here to the sacred ground of St. Anthony Falls, otherwise known as Wamni-Yomni. This hotel rests on well-traveled paths to the falls, which were considered not only whirlpool waters, but also as a healing place. Let's allow the spiritual significance of this land to embrace us today. I joined the PPL board several years ago because I was looking for a place to contribute to addressing the terrible disparities in the Twin Cities. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are aware that the Twin Cities has the worst racial disparities on almost every dimension of well-being that you can imagine. Health, education, housing, you name it, we're at the bottom or the bottom. And I would assert that this is all rooted in racism, and that in Minnesota, as someone who grew up in the South, the racism here is a system that we're all part of, and the racism that is experienced and that creates those disparities is not the kind of virulent, out-in-your-face racism that I grew up with. It's actually the racism of good people with good intentions not doing enough. And I want to thank you all for doing something today to come out and spend some time with us talking about some of these issues and talking about some of the good work that PPL is doing to address those issues. It's been my privilege to serve, thank you. It's been my privilege to serve as the PPL Board Chair for the last year, and my time has proven to me how this organization truly lives up to its mission by building the hope, assets, and self-reliance for individuals and families who have lower incomes by providing transformative, affordable housing and career readiness services. What's more, the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, in the yogurt parfait. PPL is dutiful in measuring the impact of the work that we do and striving to engage with and help amplify the voice of the people in the communities that we serve. We're going to see and hear more about these efforts this morning. Before we get going, I want to take a few minutes just to say thank you to folks who have been here and been supportive of us for so many years. In fact, we've been at this now for 50 years. So, and I know there are probably at least a few of you here that have been on this journey with us for the full 50 years. So thank you. I'd also like to say thanks to a few groups that have made this morning's breakfast possible, starting with our sponsors who are joining us here in the room and online. Welcome to those of you that are online, who have generously underwritten the cost of the breakfast so that 100% of the funds raised here today go to support PPL and the great work that it does in the community. We'd like to give a special shout out to our Platinum, Gold, and Silver corporate sponsors, Wells Fargo, Weiss Builders, SFM, Ryan, US Bank, USI, and Urban Works. We'd also like to say thanks to our wonderful table hosts who help us make this event a success. We have over 50 table hosts this year, so if you're a table host, raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. And then if I could have the board members stand up quick. I'm standing too. It really is a pleasure to represent such an incredible group of board members who've given their time and their treasure and their energy to support this organization, particularly over the last couple of years. I think for many of us on the board, this is the first time we've been together physically since the pandemic. And it's amazing to see how people have changed in the last 2 years. They look different than on Zoom. PPL has a long history and compelling story to tell about building community and success. It's a story of helping folks achieve self-reliance by building job skills and creating a path toward a sustainable career. It's a story that starts in 1972 with the conversion of dilapidated homes into stable housing folks could take pride in, and it continues today, teaming up with community and private sector partners to develop comprehensive, collaborative community assets that help shape a more prosperous and more equitable future for our neighborhoods and the people who live there. Which is a great segue to our next speaker and our corporate partner. Please join me in welcoming my fellow PPL board member, Ken LaChance of Wells Fargo.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken LaChance, and in addition to serving as a PPL board member, I'm a market executive for Wells Fargo Commercial Banking. Along with my colleagues this morning, I'm thrilled to be with you to celebrate the 50th anniversary of PPL. For more than 30 years, Wells Fargo has been one of PPL's most dependable and consistent partners. Our support began with a small grant in 1987 and has grown over the years in breadth, depth, and scope, including board involvement and leadership, investing in housing developments and career training through tax credits, equity investments, and capital campaigns, hiring. Since 2014, Wells Fargo has hired 75 positions from PPL programs. Philanthropy, employee giving, and volunteering round out our support. Over the years, our relationship has become more complex, or what we call in my business, sticky. We've built trust in this organization, and they in turn have put trust in our leaders. That trust is why when a Black-owned bank was looking to come to town and we had a location they were interested in, we reached out to PPL to see if they'd be interested in taking the property from us and helping First Independence Bank with their historic market entrance. It was unconventional in some ways, but we knew that PPL had the creativity, the connections, and the mission fit to help make this a reality. 2 weeks ago, we were all able to celebrate First Independence Bank's grand opening together. And I mean it when I say it was a celebration. Unscripted, Damien, I know I saw you. I don't know where you're sitting, but if you'd stand up, oh, right down here, all right. That same trust is what led us to select PPL to lead the transformation of our Lake and Nicollet location, which was lost in the unrest following George Floyd's murder. What will replace it is not just a new building, but a new collaborative development to transform Lake Street. You can see that vision for the transformation on the screens, but this picture doesn't tell near the whole story. We selected PPL because of the way they proposed getting to that point of even having a rendering or putting a shovel in the dirt. We selected them because they talked about transformation. They connected us to the neighborhood through the Cultural Wellness Center. They presented this development as an opportunity to be inclusive and supportive to the neighborhood, as a means of catalyzing community wealth building. Now, the lawyers may not like it when I use the word partner, because it has legal definitions, but in the time I've been connected to PPL, I can honestly say our relationship has evolved to the point of considering them one of the key partners in this market. In many ways, it's because, as Paul often says, how they do their work is as important as what they do. I want to close with an invitation to each of you to become a personal partner with PPL. Nearly 10 years ago, I was invited to this very breakfast by a Wells Fargo colleague who's in attendance, John Rasmussen. At that time, I had very limited knowledge of PPL and what their impact was on the community. My wife, Brenda, and I have been continually awestruck as we learn, we volunteer, and we support PPL on an annual basis. We chose to lean in hard to show our financial support, and we continue to be vocal advocates for PPL because of how they do the work in this community. I consider myself lucky and very proud to be a board member of PPL. Thanks so much for your time and your attention this morning. And now, I'd like to pass the microphone to Elder Atum Azahir, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Cultural Compliance Officer, and Elder Consultant in African Ways of Knowing with the Cultural Wellness Center.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Mr. LaChance. And hearing all those titles that he read must have made you think, oh my God, does she work? Carrying all those titles would probably be enough work, but those are really not titles. They are labels that have, for the most part, given direction to the job description that we wrote for me 25 years ago. I want to start by saying that this partnership, I was so excited to hear what you said about they would probably not call this a partnership, but this is a partnership. It's a partnership that has a triple bottom line, and the triple bottom line is cash, culture, and connections. We have determined that without cash, culture, and connections, development projects, development activities cannot produce that extremely beautiful building that you just saw. Cannot produce it as in the production is going to be maintained, because the people who we organized over that period of time, many people, over 800 people, who were able to hear about, discuss, envision, and help this to become what it is, as you've seen it on that picture. Behind that picture is all of this activity. During the period of development, we were asking questions that, to be honest, only the Cultural Wellness Center people could ask. Some of what we heard was what you heard described in our acknowledgement of the land. There were many people who talked about that kind of history. People who talked about that kind of history because it's still alive. As you heard the board chair say, it's still alive. It is up to us to determine that that is not only going to die, but the dying of that is going to give life to a different kind of development. It is our intent with this partnership, Wells Fargo, Project for Pride in Living, and the 26-year-old Center of Cultural Wellness. We are so grateful as I think about who has given determination and rise to who I am. Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker said, "I'm not satisfied making money for myself. I endeavor to provide employment for hundreds of women of my race." You can see that same thing in the Project for Pride and Living mission. Joe Savazio was and continues to be a mentor of mine. I just learned, by the way, Joe, I hope you're in the audience, I just learned that you're only 4 years, maybe 4.5 years older than me. Take that. Do you see what I mean? These are people. This is legacy work. This is the kind of work that indeed is behind the picture that you just saw. We have embarked on a different kind of development. What's different? What's different is the measure of success is now well-being of the people who live within walkable, bikeable radius of the building. These were the people who talked to us, who described this space. The measure then will be about their well-being, about their ownership, about their declaration of protection, of safety of this space, this localized space. It belongs to them. The partner, like Madam C.J. Walker, once again, who talked about not being satisfied making money, neither is Wells Fargo. Not being satisfied with making connections, not at all isolated, separated, but like PPL, who make connections across the span of economic and culture. I will end by just saying to you that I heard a quote from someone who we all know, but whose name I won't call right now. Be humble, everyone says. Be humble. Be humble when you're successful. Does anyone else tell you, be amazing? Be great. Be great. Be awesome. Very seldom do you hear anyone say that. But that's what our partnership represents. Including that in our bottom line is what this partnership will produce and is what makes our development different. That's the difference. That is what we will measure. Who can be great? Because they're stabilized, because they're involved, and because they own the very places where they live. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the work.
That is a tough act to follow. Thank you, Elder Atum. We appreciate your work and your partnership. Now, everyone, let's take a few minutes, enjoy breakfast. We'll come back together in 5 minutes.
Well, good morning. I hate to tell you this, but you don't get any more time to eat your breakfast. And I want you to know I fought hard to get those extra 3 minutes for breakfast. I've been pushing for that for years. My name is Paul Williams. I am the president and CEO of PPL, and I am so thrilled to be here with you today in person. The energy, the connection that comes with being in person, I think, is obviously important. And I've been saying at PPL, our work is human. And we've done a wonderful job of pivoting in this environment to a virtual, video-based environment, but our work is human, and so we need to be in community with one another. in order to do our work well. And so we are so grateful that all of you took the time today to be here with us in person. So welcome. So many of you, our corporate donor, our community partners, have been on this journey with us for so many years. I do want to say a special shout out to our elected officials. We actually have a great crew from Hennepin County commissioners here, Commissioner Kevin Anderson, Debbie Gettle, Board Chair Marion Green, Chris Latondras, and Jeff Lundy. Thank you for being here. And of course, I have to give a shout out to my old boss, former Mayor Chris Coleman from St. Paul, who is also here with us today. He, of course, took the opportunity to give me a jibe and remind me of how long it takes to get to Minneapolis from St. Paul by 7:15 a.m. But I'm just so grateful to all of you who've sustained and even magnified our work here, the life-changing work of this organization over the last 2 years in particular. And I'll tell you more about that work here today. But first, I want to ask our staff from PPL to stand and be recognized for their incredible work over these last 2 years. Stand up, you're out there. Yes, right on. Your dedication, your ingenuity, your sacrifice has been just incredible in helping to keep our folks stable for these last 2 years under circumstances none of us could have imagined. And so please know how much we appreciate that you've put into all of this and sacrificed. And we have something else to celebrate here today. As you heard, we have a birthday to celebrate. PPL turns 50 this year. That's an applause line. It's certainly an honor for me to be leading this organization in its 50th year. We have PPL's founding director here with us today, Joe Salvaggio. Would you please stand? Joe wanted me to say that it's easy to start something, but it's hard to sustain it for the long haul. I think he's right about that. Still, we are eminently grateful, Joe, for your leadership and all you did to build a strong foundation here. 25 years as executive director and 25 years as a stellar, committed volunteer committee member, and as some in the community call him, a philanthropist. Bravo. I also want to recognize another giant who preceded me, Steve Kramer, president twice for a combined 16 years. Steve, can you stand, please? Steve navigated PPL through incredible growth over many years, and we're glad to have you here with us today, Steve. So as you heard, 50 years ago, PPL began its transformative journey. Joe and University of Minnesota students, as you heard Bill mention, came together with volunteers from St. Joan of Arc Church and rehabilitated 45 homes in the Phillips neighborhood in South Minneapolis, restoring them to their original beauty and functionality and becoming a source of pride. Project for Pride in Living, they called it. It was as clear then as it is now that stable housing and later a sustaining career are the two building blocks that make pride possible. And I want to say a word about that word, pride. It is the secret sauce of this organization, helping people rediscover their voice, helping them develop that sense of agency, of self-determination over their future, helping folks rediscover their confidence in the ability to shape one's future. I can't tell you, if any of you have been to any of our graduations, we give our graduates the opportunity to talk about their experience, and almost to a person, what they will first say is, you know, you helped me I knew I had it in me, but you helped me find it, rediscover it, and bring it out. And we do that through housing, through job training, through education. It's a very constant piece of what we do. Our mission is virtually unchanged since then. We aim to build the hope, assets, and self-reliance of individuals and families who have lower incomes by providing transformative affordable housing and career readiness services. We are continuing that work to this day. Today in the Twin Cities, about 3,500 folks live with PPL every day. Tens of thousands and more have found the stability they needed at PPL and have moved on successfully. In fact, graduates of our career training programs are working at major employers across our region, helping to drive our economic recovery. One of our residents, Simone, is here today with her family, her daughters Sky and Shakira. You'll hear her story in our video. Another graduate, Kay, who you'll meet this morning, is also part of our community. A mother, smart, talented, and ready for a sustaining career and stability for her family. She graduated 5 years ago from our Hennepin County training pathway. She now works as an administrative supervisor in the county. She started in an entry-level position, but now she mentors other graduates of our program. She's got a job with a living wage, full benefits, tuition reimbursement. She's on her way, and she's giving back, actually, even. This is how PPL is transforming the work across this region. We're turning out qualified candidates in a number of high-demand sectors, 90% of them people of color. These are the candidates our employers and partners are frantically searching for, myself included. If you know anyone, send them my way, please. Our graduates are transforming the public sector at Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Dakota County. They're transforming healthcare at Abbott Northwestern and Alina. I'm happy to report, actually, that we just added 2 more training pathways to our healthcare programming. They're transforming financial services, working at all the banks that are household names in the Twin Cities. We just strengthened our bank teller training program, actually, so graduates can be hired directly into higher paid financial advisor apprenticeships. But they're not just transforming the workforce, they're also transforming their own lives. Last year, in PPL's career training, folks walked through our doors earning less than $10,000 a year. They left earning close to $38,000, and more importantly, were in a career pathway where they could start moving up. Imagine the impact on those families. At PPL, we know that finding career pathways can't happen without affordable housing. Housing isn't just a roof, it's a floor. It's a foundation. We learned that so clearly these last couple of years. Without stable housing, there is no health care. There is no continuing education. There is no upskilled workforce. And there is no child care. Housing is central to all of that. Stable housing is central to all of that. This past year, we completed the 3rd phase of the Anishinaabe project in partnership with the American Indian Community Development Corporation, providing 40 homes for our Native community members struggling with homelessness, right down on Franklin Avenue. We also broke ground on Bloom Lake Flats, a partnership with Clare Housing to create 42 affordable homes for people living with HIV. This is yet another incredible investment for PPL along the Lake Street corridor. It will open a little later this year. We continue to deepen our work with the Northside Achievement Zone, an organization aiming to end generational poverty in North Minneapolis. PPL owns and operates 250 units of affordable housing in North Minneapolis alone. But we also helped families obtain rental assistance and access career training. We simply could not do this kind of holistic, relational, and transformational work, as Mother Atum mentioned, without your investment. The flexible funding that we receive every year from individuals and institutional partners gives us the freedom to provide exactly what people need to move forward and achieve their goals. We're here today because we need your partnership. We're asking you to vote with your investment for PPL's plans to provide affordable housing, help people secure good jobs, and provide ownership opportunities to remedy the historic disinvestment suffered in many of our communities. We've got work to do, and we need you to make it happen. Looking forward, we will be expanding our career training work, continuing our virtual training options, and working to incorporate college credit into more of our programs. We're also launching earn and learn models that provide full-time pay for apprenticeships with employer partners. We're expanding our homeownership work to continue building generational wealth in and with communities of color. Last year, we helped 33 first-time homebuyers find a home. We're on track to double that number this year. That's an effort that will open up access to nearly $20 million in equity for first-time homeowners of color. That's wealth creation. And we're continuing to elevate the voices of community in all that we do. In the policy arena, we're supporting rental subsidies for those overburdened by rent, advocating for additional housing bonds, and helping Opportunity Youth obtain a driver's license. Turns out it's tough for young people to get a job without a driver's license. That system is change. On the neighborhood front, we're tackling neighborhood crime and violence by working closely with the Black-led security firm and a community organization called Brothers Empowered, which centers community in addressing youth violence. That's called community safety. And we're continuing to push, thank you, and we're continuing to push affordable housing production, which has been a centerpiece of our work for so many years. Minnesota has been experiencing an affordable housing shortage for decades, especially for those with the lowest incomes. Over 65% of these renters are cost-burdened in their housing and would need an annual income of over $45,000 to afford fair market rent. More broadly, 25% of all Minnesota households are cost-burdened. 25% of all Minnesota households are cost-burdened. It's an incredible figure. So we're excited that we'll start construction on 2 new properties this year at Highland Bridge in St. Paul, the site of the former Ford plant. We're grateful to our partners at Ryan Companies for helping us to ensure that deeply affordable housing will be included in the first phase of construction, not the second, third, or fourth, the first phase. We're also creating 60 units in St. Louis Park and working with Simpson Housing Services to produce 42 units of housing in South Minneapolis and a new shelter space for that long-time program. So you heard Ken and Elder Atum speak to our work at the former Wells Fargo site on Lake Street, and we are just so excited about that effort. You also heard Elder Atum, and if I was smart, I would have just let her drop the mic and just let it be right there, but no. But you also heard her talk about the importance of culture and engagement. And thanks to that deep engagement process that the Cultural Wellness Center has worked with us on, we have a plan for that site that truly does represent the vision, the values, the interests of neighborhood residents and businesses in that area. It includes 110 affordable apartments in the first phase, 4 sale properties to support BIPOC entrepreneurs, and community wealth building, a new bank branch, communal space for cultural celebrations, and more. We're also engaging BIPOC firms as vendors on the project, including the Black-led and female-owned architecture firm Designed by Mello. Tremendous partnership there. So quite a list of to-dos and active projects for one and all at PPL. And as Ken referenced earlier, I just have to say how we rebuild is as important as what we rebuild. The way in which we do the work of community development, this is the heart of what PPL is about. We've been doing our work this way for several years. We are continuing to. How do we build community? How do we build capacity in community as we build stuff? That is what's at the heart of where we're headed with our work. You'll be hearing more about that model, what we call equitable development, kind of in the coming year. We're entering into a strategic planning process this year that is taking a deep look at kind of how we do our work and really kind of articulating that model. And as we've been talking with folks across the community already, we're just getting a lot of wonderful support for really taking that model, sharing that, and really embedding it in an organization for the long haul. And so we're really excited about that. As I look around this room today, I see people who have been instrumental to PPL's success. Joe always says the founding of PPL wasn't about him. It was about a group of people just like you coming together with the belief that they could make the world better. I believe that what PPL offers is uniquely needed at this moment. So I'm asking you today to invest in PPL, to invest in our community, in our neighborhoods, in our current and future workforce. And we're asking you to invest as if the future of our region depended on it. Thank you so much.
I was in such a dark place, such an angry place. Like if you would have came to my house years ago, everything would have been black. Blackout curtains, black furniture, black. It was like just in a dark, dark place for a long time. Now I have to have my windows open every day. That's a must. When I get up, I have to open up my windows. I have to open up this. I have to open up the curtains just for things to be more bright. Coming out of an abusive relationship, leaving everything, just one day getting up, packing my kids up and just left everything behind just to better my life and my kids' life. So I went to a shelter for like 4 months because I was in the process of getting a divorce. I couldn't take care of none of that while I was in there because could no one come into the shelter at all. And I was there during the winter time. So getting 3 younger kids, getting up, moving around with them was pretty hard. And they were in school. It was a chance that I had to take to be able to get me and my family back into housing and back where I wanted to be at. Let me go buy my kids some new toothbrushes today. Couldn't go do that. I'll go to my dad's house, hey, I need some money for toothbrushes. That was the lowest that I ever been at, to where I would never want to have to go back there again. I got into Prosperity Village pretty quick. I think it was maybe a month after meeting with him. And I've been staying since 2017 up until now. Is it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that looks like water.
You stepping in the oil, you should care. Watch out.
I am. I didn't even see them.
Transitioning from the shelter to having our own home again was pretty awesome. It was 4 of us in one room, so for them to be out and have their own rooms and get up and be able to go get them something to eat when they wanted to, like dinner time was cut off at 4:30. I started dinner time around 4:30, so it was a big transition. So it was more, like I said, more freedom for them to get up and go, and it was helpful from coming out of a dark place, staying in the house all day. It was 2 to 3 days out of a week that I was attending a class. It helped a lot because I was seeing therapy. I did have skills workers. I did have a psychologist, and at that time it was overwhelming, and I was like, nope. I think they're done. There's nothing coming off on here. Let me get some the thing. So I feel like I did a lot just to achieve just getting out of the shelter, getting out of the situation that I was in, going back to work. I attend a lot of conferences, everything that goes on in my kids' school. I'm involved in so much stuff. I love the windows. I absolutely love the windows in every room. So I can go into this room, I can let the windows up. I can go into that to where it just isn't a dark space. It feel like at home.
I was doing janitorial, security, and part-time National Guard at the time. So, you don't get off weekends, you don't get off holidays. I was working 3 jobs at the time, and hadn't had a day off in 2 years. So I didn't really get home. I didn't get to see my family. I didn't get to see my friends. I was making just enough to get by. I was racking up a lot of debt. It was causing a lot of stress at home. Just trying to get by, trying to, keep food on the table, and you just you try so many different things in life. You never come out of school knowing exactly what you want to do. I was working with a professional for employment and underemployment, and she said, "Yeah, there's this program with PPL for maintenance and building operations. Thought, it's be something good for me to check out." And that's the great thing about PPL. They gave you the basics, with the building operation technician class. You got the basics of everything. They didn't just teach you one thing. They taught you, here's some refrigeration, here's some electronics, here's some full-on electrical, here's how you use some of these power tools. There are some resume classes in there as well. Everyone's there to help you. They don't want to see you fail. They want to see you succeed. They want you to do your best. And once you get confident in what you're doing, you can do your best. I think the biggest thing I got out of that program was confidence. Kind of afraid to do plumbing, electrical, just working with different power tools, refrigeration, stuff I'd never really thought of doing, stuff that I was kind of intimidated to do. They saw something in me that I think he's going to go places. And I worked hard. I learned everything I could from all my coworkers. I've roughly doubled my salary in 5 years. They start you off at a certain place, then every year you get a raise based on performance. And then I got promoted pretty early. That was a total life changer. This is way beyond what I was hoping for out of life. I didn't really think I was ever going to be poor by any means, but the working poor is where I was sitting, and now I'm in a very comfortable place. I love work. I love what I do. It's been great. And I suggest anyone that's out there, they don't know what they're doing, give it a try.
So the stories you've just seen reflect the two core areas of PPL's work: affordable housing and career readiness. It's really hard to capture in words and numbers that Paul shared the true impact that we have on real families and real lives. We're glad to have Simone and her two daughters are here with us today, Sky and Shakira. Thank you for coming. And as Paul mentioned, we're also fortunate to have with us today another one of our great success stories, a PPL graduate. Please welcome Kay Vu.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Bill. My name is Kay Vu, and I work for Hennepin County as an administrative assistant. I'm honored to be able to speak to you today and tell you about my journey and how PPL had helped fulfill a dream I once had. It was a long journey to make it a reality. I was one of 13 kids, and my dad was very abusive. He had left the family when I was about 10, and my mom fell into a gambling addiction. At this point, my family fell apart. My brothers joined gangs, one went to prison. I eventually stopped going to school and completely dropped out. That wasn't until I was 17 when I finally met a boy who is my now husband. He spoke with me with respect and broadened my views of the world. Sorry, I'm a little nervous here. When his mom found out of my home situations, she took me in with no questions asked. She basically adopted me and had pretty much said, leave everything behind. Whatever is there, I will provide for you. So she has bought me anything from clothes to feminine hygiene. And remind you, this was at 17. Over the years, I've lost hope of a career because I didn't think I would make it anywhere, especially in my current state. My mom had lived paycheck to paycheck, especially with her gambling addiction. And growing up, she was always on government assistance. And if she was able to survive off with what the government was giving her for 13 kids, why can't I do the same thing? It was a dream of mine to work with government since I was very young. Because my mom was on government assistance, we've always spoke Hmong at home and never any English. So we always required someone to help us fill out forms. And when we were there, that's when the social workers, they reassured us and said, we're here to help you in your specific time of needs. And that's what I thought, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to grow up and I want to be able to help and assist people. I learned about the PPL program about 5 years ago, and I found that through the Hennepin County job listings. It was unbelievable at first because it seems like it was a hoax. When you look at it, it seems too good to be true because they provide you with all the training that you needed. All you had to do was attend. And then at the end, you were guaranteed a position with Hennepin County. I'm sorry. I just never knew that it would be an opportunity to be able to get in with the county, because online it says you have to come in to do an assessment. And we all know how that goes. They always say, come in, do an assessment, and then we'll give you a call based off of what your scores were. I went in, I did the assessment, and I'm like, they're never gonna call because I've done these assessments before and they never call. It's always been based off of quotas. But you know what? They called, and and of course, from there, I was so eager to get in, and as soon as I was in the program, I was like, okay, is this something real? Because now I'm in the program, but what they were teaching me was something I didn't even think was related to Hennepin County. We had a lot of guest speakers that came in from Hennepin County telling us about their core values and what we needed to do to bring out our qualifications in order to meet the Hennepin County's needs. It finally felt like there was a possibility that this could be true. Remind you, I'm still very skeptical at this time. I did not trust whatever was going on because like I said, it was still too good to be true. But it finally felt possible. Like this was something that I would say is legit, is how I was saying it at the time. But the PPL program has taught me how to be confident and how to bring out my skill sets. And what I have learned as a 10 years as a supervisor at Starbucks, what skills I have and how it translates into my current position. PPL has taught me how to speak and also stop fidgeting, because before I would always be rotating and fidgeting and be messing with my fingers. I no longer do that. But they have also taught me to do something like this, to be able to stand in front of this podium and be able to speak to all of you today. After my graduation, I was hired by Hennepin County as an office specialist. And since then, I've been promoted to an administrative assistant. And I am supervising again, which is also very amazing as in what Hennepin County and PPL has done to help me advance in my career. To me, it's really rewarding to help my staff pursue their career goals. I want to let them know that I'm here and that they should feel comfortable to come and talk to me about anything. Because of what happened in my family and because of what my Hmong society has taught me, I've learned to keep my voice down and not say anything or speak up against anyone. As I raise my daughter, I try to teach her to express herself and know her own self-worth. I want to create a world where women can speak and know that there are resources for abuse, for training, to overcome anything. I feel that telling my story is the first step. And I'm very thankful for PPL for helping me see the potential that I have, and that together we can achieve anything. Thank you.
Gotta do the page. We live? There we go. Need to do the page turn. Sorry, guys. Thank you, Kay, for that amazing story. I do cry easily, so thank you for sharing with us. My name is Tanya Bell, and it wasn't my story, so but thank you. My name is Tanya Bell, and I'm a member of the PPL's Board of Directors. I hope that Kay helped all of you understand the importance of PPL's career readiness programming, and that we deserve to support all this great work and all of these wonderful folks who are changing their lives. PPL's most recent cohort of office specialist graduates had a 100% placement with the county. Every graduate launched a public sector career, not job, career, which is important. That partnership with Hennepin County grew out of a need for our public sector to reflect the diversity of our communities, and for people like Kay to find family-sustaining careers. So, all of us here have a story about a family member, ourselves maybe, or someone that we love, who have struggled with housing, food, or job insecurity. I have my own stories, and I encourage you to think about who it is in your life that has struggled with insecurity in these areas. But today, I want to talk to you about my perspective on PPL from my real estate background. I'm a commercial real estate person, and I have observed and watched PPL's work for years. In these years in my career, I have found and understood the importance of place. The importance of place to all of us, not just some of us. So way before I joined the board, I saw how PPL was different. PPL never starts the conversation with no. When there is a community need, their response isn't, there are 5 formulas that make housing work. And there are places and people who do that. Instead, they pause and they listen. I have seen PPL take on projects that others have passed on because they were hard or they were just too complicated. PPL went ahead creating those places that matter to community. It is PPL's mission and their temperament, which is the important piece, to be where the need is, and I find that very, very inspiring. So I am up here with my friend Damu. Damu, you've been involved with PPL in a more official capacity for a lot longer than I have. So would you share with the group your feelings about our friends at PPL?
I would love to, Tanya. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Damu McCoy. I am a longtime board member. Actually, I was on the board for 9 years, and apparently you term out after 9 years, and so I took a break. Paul called me like a year later, you ready to come back? And I'm like, hey, I'm ready, let's do it, So, but let me share with you why I'm involved with PPL. So I grew up in North Minneapolis, and the stories that we hear when we come to the breakfast are my story. I grew up in a single family home. I know what it's like to not have enough food. I know what it's like to be homeless. And when I got introduced to PPL, I couldn't wait to help people be able to unlock their true potential. I also know the value of some of the things PPL creates. To me, a stable house is everything, right? There's nothing like having a place you can call home, house, apartment, whatever, but a place you can actually call home. And then having a career so that you can do things for yourself and not have to depend on others is amazing. Today, I lead talent acquisition for Target. I'm a VP of talent acquisition for Target Corporation. And I would not have achieved that without organizations exactly like PPL. And so while it wasn't PPL, it is today. And I'll tell you, through my work with PPL, the thing that strikes me the most is that the amazing, amazing work that gets done is only a fraction of the work that needs to get done here. Only a fraction. And so when I come to events like this, I think about like, you know, there's so much we need to get done, and we can't do it without all of you. And so I know from here, we're here, and this is a fundraising breakfast if no one told you. We're here because we need fun. But I think about, you know, everyone has different capacities to give. And I remember when I thinking giving was impossible, and that's not true today. So I'd ask for you today to think about, what is your capacity? Like how deep can you dig? And if we learn nothing during the pandemic, we should learn that like people need us and we need each other. And so this is our moment to actually help support the work that PPL does and help support the amazing stories that you guys have heard a little bit about this morning. And Tanya's gonna share with you how we can help even a little bit more.
Indeed. There we go. Hold it up. So today we have the great fortune of a donor that has put up a challenge, which is always a good thing to have for one of these breakfasts, of a $50,000 matching gift to any donation of $1,000 or more to PPL today. The opportunity here is simple, right? You get to double your impact with your gift. So we'd like to thank our generous donor for that opportunity. And as Damu said, everybody here has a different capacity, which we understand. But if you're able to consider a commitment of $1,000 or more, know that you'll make twice the impact on all of the programs you've heard about today: the housing stability, the career training, equitable development, home ownership, and more. So a $5,000 gift turns into a $10,000 gift. The math is pretty simple. I think most of us know how to do it. And as Paul said earlier, these flexible dollars that we receive from this event are really critical to the mission. We know what the needs are, and we understand the role that PPL plays. Your support allows us to go where we're needed most and to do what we do best. So here's how your gift will make a difference. $1,000 provides 5 alternative high school students with one-time financial help to overcome a barrier in schooling. $500 provides one participant the services they need to find a job. $250 funds financial coaching for one participant to prepare for successful home ownership. And finally, $100 helps a family exiting homelessness settle into their new home with linens, dishes, and household essentials. So, in a moment, our table hosts will pass out the gift forms. Ron, at my table, could you take on my duties for me since I'm preoccupied? Thank you. You may choose to give using the paper form that will be passed out, or you can give securely online on PPL's website. For those of you attending virtually, you're seeing it scroll on your screen, I'm pretty sure, so you get to cheat better than everybody else does because it's in front of you. And you can make your gift online. For those of us who are here, though, you can get to PPL's online donation page by scanning the QR code that's at your table, or you can do it by text. So the text option is just text PPL to 243-725, and you'll get a link to the site. So just text PPL to the phone number 243-725, and you'll receive a link to the donation page. We do ask that all of you here please fill out the form that you'll be given, sort of regardless how you choose to give today. There's other information provided on that form, so that'd be great. And remember, if you are able to give at the $1,000 level to PPL, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar. But the most important thing, right, Demo?
You're right, you're right.
The most important thing is that you join us today and say yes to being part of PPL's mission. Because every gift, as you know, of any size, furthers the mission. So we very much appreciate it.
We do, we do. All right, so I know we're at that time. So I want to end by just saying thank you to everyone for being here this morning. We recognize you have choices of how you spend your time, as well as your money and other resources. So thank you for coming this morning, and thank you for helping us do the important work that PPL does. Have a good day.